Hello everyone, welcome to the English e-class, and today we have something important to learn, something which we often come across or use in our day-to-day life. Yes, we are talking about notice writing. So one of the important aspects of communication is business communication, also known as formal communication. Well, formal letters, memos, circulars, etc., are all the forms of business communication. Yet another important tool of the same is a notice. Let us learn the meaning of a notice and the necessary details of notice writing. So, what is notice writing? So, in a simple language, a notice is a written or a printed piece of information which is given to a large group of people, informing that about an event or a program that is scheduled for some time in future. It is displayed on the notice boards of schools, colleges, organizations, and government bodies where everybody can read it conveniently. So, a short piece of communication written in formal style to convey important information to a group of people in an organization is called a notice. So, we generally find notice in schools, offices, some important organization, and it gives some necessary and the important piece of information to the readers or the audience. It is generally written and then displayed at a public place where it is accessible to all. They can be pasted on notice boards of schools and offices. If it is meant for a wider audience, it can even be published in a newspaper. Let's go through some features of notice writing. Well, a notice is always written in the box, and the word limit for writing a notice is around 50. So we need to stick to the 50 words word limit. The name of the school or the issuing authority is always written on the top. It is very important. Then the word notice should be mentioned clearly in the center in bold letters. Precise titles should be clearly given indicating what the notice is about. Keep the notice simple and concise, and the tone must be impartial and formal. It must contain all relevant information and details. The name and the designation has to be mentioned in the lower left bottom corner. Very important, the notice is always written in third person. That means the notice always have to be written in a passive tone. So use passive tone as far as possible. Now it is a formal form of communication, so the language used should be formal as well. So no flowery text should be used in writing a notice. So present your notice in a proper format in a box. The presentation should be neat and thus it should be appealing to the eye. Keep the sentences short and use simple words. Now, since notices are fairly brief, it is best to keep it simple. So these are the 5 pointers which are actually required in your content of the notice. So let's discuss about it. So notices should cover some important points that are to be communicated to the readers. So let us summarize these 5 points that the content of the notice will cover, the 5 W's. The first one being what? What is the notice all about? Well, the notice should be clearly about what is going to happen or what has already happened. Well, this is the crux of the message and should be written clearly. There should not be any ambiguity. The next W is when. So this is the time and the date of the event or the meeting. Well, if possible, the duration of the event should also be mentioned to the people so that the people can schedule their time accordingly. The next comes where. So if the notice is about an event, then the location of such an event must be written clearly. The venue or the location are important details, so make sure to include this in the notice. Who? Well, this will be who the notice is addressed to. Who all are supposed to adhere to the notice should be clearly mentioned to avoid confusion. The last but not the least, whom. And the final detail should be whom to contact or get in touch with. This mentions who the appropriate authority is to contact. Keeping in mind these all 5 WH questions which are required in the notice, we can actually have a great content which covers all the necessary information. Let's come to the format of notice writing. Well, since the notices are a formal document, it should follow a structure or a format. Well, keep in mind that there is one correct rigid format. There's no such rigid format. Notices are of different types. It can be a simple informative notice wherein information has to be delivered to the audience regarding any event or a competition. It can be a notice of lost or found, which we'll be covering in the later part of the video. So different formats should be used by different people, organization, but we are going to study a format which is very, very common to be used in schools and in offices for sure. But it is ideal to maintain and follow somewhat similar if a format for easy use of understanding and uniformity. So let us look at most of the things which are required while framing the correct format for the notice. Now, this is a correct format for the notice. Well, it starts with the name of the organization or the institution or the authority. So as you can see that right at the very top, you print the name of the person or company that is issuing the said notice. Well, this will help the reader to identify the notices as important or unimportant to him. Then comes the title. Well, if you are writing the name of your school, then the name of the school should be in the first line, and in the next line should be your city. And then comes the title notice. Now, when the notice is exactly written in the center in bold handwriting, then comes the date of the issue. Well, the date after the tile of the left hand side, we print the date on which the notices have been published. Now, since this is a formal document, date is an important aspect of it, since these documents stay on record. The next come the title. Now, when writing notices, so first of all, as we all discussed, that the title notice should be at the top. Well, this helps draw the attention to the document. Notices are generally posted at a public place or published in newspapers. So it's very important that they do not get lost in a sea of information. So a bold title clearly mentions help draw the attention of the readers. The next comes the heading, the title, heading, or the subject. Well, then we move on to the appropriate heading to the notices. Well, this heading should be made very, very clear, which draws the exact purpose at why the notice is written. Then comes the content or the body. Well, after the heading, we write the brief and to the point body or the content of the notice. The main content of the notice, features all the necessary WH questions that we discussed. At the end, we have on the extreme left hand corner, we have the signature of the person who is writing the notice, who's issuing the notice, the person who's in charge. Then we have the name of the person, and then the designation of the person should be there so that it remains in its original form and it has a validity. Now, here is one sample notice that we are going to discuss. In fact, we are going to discuss 2 to 3 sample notices, and this one being a very common, which gives information about a competition. So you are the cultural secretary of your school. You have been asked to inform students of class 6 to 8 about a drama competition in your school. So draft a notice in about 40 to 50 words to be put up on the school notice board with all the necessary details. Enclose the notice in the box. Now here, if you can see, the class is given. Now the name of the competition, the drama competition, is given. Your designation as you're the cultural secretary of your school is given, but the name of the school is not given. So when the name of the school is not given, we mention ABC school and XYZ city. So here, since the name was not given in the previous question, and if suppose the name is given, suppose the name of the school is Holy Child School, New Delhi. So then it has to be written If the name is given, write down the name of the school. If the name is not given, do mention ABC School XYZ City. Then we have the main title, the notice. Then we have the drama competition. Well, the heading can be, placed under the date as well. So I suggest that do you place the heading, that is the drama competition, under the date. So then we have the date. Now avoid using commas. Now here in the video we have the comma which is being used. So sorry for that, but we will avoid using the commas and question and apostrophes and all this in the date. So keep the date very, very simple. Now, an inter-house drama competition will be held in the school auditorium on 20th August. Students of class 6 to 8 willing to participate should give their names to the undersigned before 30th July. Auditions will be on 31st July. For further information, meet the undersigned during school hours. We have signature, we have the name, and we have the designation. Now, if you see the content, it gives us the date, it gives us the time, it gives us the venue. So now we basically, with DTV, date, time, venue is very important. Now, since here the date is given, the for whom the notice is meant for is given, the purpose is exactly stated. Now you can even mention the time as well. Now if the time is required in the notice, you can mention the time as well. Now even, if you have to suppose there's a competition that is to be organized in the school and where venue to be given is necessary, you can give the venue also. Like here the drama competition will be held in the school auditorium is a venue. Well, I suggest you write the date, time, venue in order to avoid any confusions. Now we're going to come to the lost found notices. Now for the lost and found notices, now what are they? Well, the lost and found notice is just a piece of information to be delivered to the target audience. Now, first of all, a found notice is written where we find something, and we have to draft a notice asking the rightful owner to come and furnish the necessary details and take the thing back. Now, suppose here we are going to discuss the content of a notice which has, in which we are required to write something which is found. So now the format of the notice remains the same. So I'll be discussing the content of the same. Now found, found, found. Now you suppose you find a purse which is lying on the floor of your library. So you draft a notice. Now found a purse lying on the floor in the library hall on 20th August 2015. It can be 2020, whatever date you want to use, at 2 p.m. Now, the genuine owner or the rightful owner of the purse can claim it back from the undersigned after giving necessary particular about the purse and its content. Then you have obviously the name, the designation, and whatever details that you want to give. Now, talking about the same, a notice announcing the findings of something, very important. A notice announcing the findings of something lost or unclaimed normally doesn't give the detailed description of the article involved, because the same part is of vital information that the notice writer will use to ascertain whether the person making the claim is a genuine owner or not. So in the found notices, try not giving the entire details of the thing which is found, because you expect the rightful owner to come and furnish the necessary details of the things and then take back his thing. Now let's come to the notice of a lost. Suppose there's a lost English textbook and you have lost your English textbook. Now here I suggest you to furnish all the details so that, talking about the information, the target audience about the things or the things lost. Now we furnish all the necessary details in a lost notice so that, it's easy for the finder to recognize it. If you have all the necessary details, and if suppose I have read a notice about a lost ABC thing of ABC of XYZ student. So now I have in mind that how the things look like. So an English textbook was lost in the classroom on 11th January, that is Thursday. It is a hard-bound book of class 5 published by Raman Publishers. If found, please return it to the undersigned. A suitable reward is promised. Now you generally, give a reward type of a thing. A suitable reward is promised. Now in case of the lost notices, so now these were the all contents of how to write a notice related to some competition, event, or any, suppose your school is going for a trip or any personality development camp. So you need to give all the details. Now you keep in mind the details which you as a reader would need it. So while writing, include all those details in between and then get set going. So now this was all about the notice writing. If you have any problems, you feel free to ask your teachers, get in touch with your teachers and clarify your doubts. And notice writing, well, I say, well, it is an art and we all need to master this skill. Thank you so much. We'll meet soon in the next e-class. Till then, have a good day.